All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Susan Burson, and I'm a reference librarian here at Massanutten Regional Library. I would like to welcome you to our online program tonight, Protecting You from Fraud and Abuse. Before I introduce our speaker, I wanted to go over a few housekeeping details. This session will be recorded. This recording will appear on the Massanutten Regional Library YouTube page in a few days if you would like to share that information with friends and family or watch it again. I will be sending a PDF version of this program to all participants in a few days. And if you think of any questions during the presentation, put them in the Q&A box at the bottom. You'll see a button at the bottom of your screen to open the Q&A up. We will answer them at the end of the presentation. Also, if you have any tech issues, you can put them in the Q&A box as well. We will be monitoring that. So I'm also happy to announce that we are looking forward to going back to some in-person programming. So definitely check out our webpage, mrlib.org, and our events calendar there. I can tell you on March 23rd, we will be hosting our first in-person event at 7 p.m. In conjunction with the Center for Justice and Peace Building. We'll be hosting the authors Betty Kilby Baldwin and Phoebe Kilby as they talk about their book Cousins. And the event is called Racial Divide, an author event with Betty Kilby Baldwin and Phoebe Kilby. And then on April 9th from 1 to 4, we'll be hosting our second annual Rocktown Author Festival. So come and meet some of your favorite local authors. But you will find all of that on our events page on our website. So without further ado, let me introduce our speaker. So Liz Odhwani is a public affairs specialist for the Social Security Administration. Lizna began her career with the administration in 2002 and has worked in many Social Security offices in the country as a bilingual claims technical expert, including the Dallas, Atlanta, and Philadelphia regions. Liz has routinely assisted with special projects and also partnered with the Richmond Public Affairs Specialist Team to support SSA's mission. Liz has received numerous awards for her dedication to the agency, including a commissioner's citation. She is well known for her energetic and upbeat "we can do it" style, even in the most trying of circumstances. And I can verify that because this evening was a little trying as we started. Because of restrictions from the Social Security Office, our speaker will not have her camera on during this presentation. So I'm going to hand it over to Liz, and I'm going to share the screen. So we'll do that. Come on, share screen. Okay, this worked before.
Okay, so while you're doing that, I'll go ahead and I'll talk a little bit about services that we're offering right now during Social Security. So at this time, we are not available to do in-person still. We're still working on reentry. So if you're part of my mailing list and you found this out over the mailing list, you do know that we are working on reentering. It looks like it's a slow process, like anything good is. And what's happening with that is that in the future, so we have to, of course, there's a lot of logistics involved, and we're talking about every office in the United States. So of course, there's, you got to make sure that the lobby has enough people where they're spaced out, and also, of course, staffing. Right, staffing gets we got COVID as well. I didn't, but luckily, but other staff members have, and also if they're able to come back in, right, depending on what the situation is and all of that. So we have a lot of logistics. They are working on it. Hopefully there's no new variant that will come back and delay it. But again, I'm sure you did get my my press release or dear colleague letter about, and anytime I get anything, I try to send it that day or the day after. As soon as I can, I'll send it out to the emailing list that I have. So definitely we are working on that. But right now we're definitely promoting online services. We've had over 60 million new users, online users. And it's been successful. You could get your Social Security card replaced online if you're over the age of 18 and a U.S. citizen with your My Social Security account. And the website for that is our website, www.ssa.gov/myaccount. Again, if you need to call your local office, we're doing everything over the phone, appointments on the phone. Certain dire need situation, we are able to make in-office appointments, but it's a case-by-case situation. But for most everything, we're doing everything on the phone. And again, if you need to get the local office phone number, you're going to go to www.ssa.gov/locator, put in your zip code, and you could find the local office. Now, let's say you're just not good with online services. You're not good. You don't go in front of the computer. You need assistance with that. That's fine. We have automated services. If you need your benefit verification letter, or you need your Medicare card replaced, things that you could have done online or given us a call for, you can call 1-800-772-1213, our national line. And you could also request information using automated services, get the number to your local office, the address. Most of our offices do have a drop box. So if you need to mail something in, or you could drop it off at our lobby, it's a secured locked box. So again, office hours are Monday to Friday, 9 to 4. If you do need to drop something off, if your office offers a drop box, you can do that. So we have that service available as well during the pandemic. Now we're going to get to the fun stuff, because during the pandemic, we've also seen an increase of fraud, right? You're going to notice last year when I was doing this webinar, it was 1 out of 10 people have been a victim of fraud. This year, you're going to notice the new slide deck that shows 1 out of 5 people have been a victim of fraud. So let's go ahead and get this going, right? And again, as you know, Social Security employees are never going to threaten you. We're never going to try to, scare you out of money. We're in the business of giving you money, right? We get your Social Security check going. So we're not in the process of trying to, ask you for Google Play cards and things like that. The 3 topics that we're going to go over today are scam awareness, elder abuse, and identity theft. Okay. And so this slide, we're going to go right into scam awareness, and you want to understand how do you know if it's a scam, right? So what we're looking at is understanding the threats, exercise caution, and secure your information. Okay, very important. We're going to go through all of this together. And again, I do want to give a shout out to Susan and Massanutten Library in Harrisonburg. Want to say thank you for partnering with us so that we can go ahead and do this PowerPoint and make it free and open to the public. We really, really, really appreciate your partnership, especially at this time where we can't go into the offices or the places like we used to. So understanding the threats. Fraudsters use several impersonation, advance fee, and phishing schemes. So they might contact you and claim that they're from SSA. It used to be IRS, right? Everybody used to get a call stating that they're from the IRS and there's something wrong with your taxes or your refund. Now it's SSA, right? Or any other government agency. And they try to request your information. They might claim that you've won the lottery or become eligible for an investment and you have to pay an upfront fee. During the COVID, when they were trying to develop the vaccine, countless of people got phone calls stating that if you donate or if you invest in the vaccination, you're gonna make millions, right? But we know that all came from the government, right? All the vaccination, everything like that. So it wasn't something privately that could be done. But as you know, people will, fraudsters or scammers follow headlines, right? So you might get some sort of thing that if you get an upfront fee, you're going to get all this money. If you remember back in the day when fraud started, or when you started noticing these things, you got an email from some very wealthy prince in Nigeria, and you had to you had to give him certain money so you can get, part of that. So just know that, if it's an upfront fee involved, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. The most recent scam is an automated recording stating that your Social Security number has been suspended for suspicion of illegal activity, and that you must call the number provided or your assets will be frozen. If you call the number and provide personal information, the scammer can use it to commit identity theft and fraud. So you want to be aware of these types of schemes so you can identify them and guard against them. Exercise caution. In general, no government agency or reputable, we're still on the 3 Sorry, we're back one slide still. I'm sorry, I haven't done advanced next slide yet. So exercise caution. In general, no government agency or reputable company will call or email you unexpectedly and request your personal information or request advance fees for services in the form of wire transfers or gift cards. I mean, during the pandemic, I even noticed at the Walmart, my local Walmart, I was at the customer service line and I noticed that the screen behind it said, if you're buying a gift card for Social Security, please put it back. We have teamed up with various huge retailers like Target and Walmart and other retailers so that, you know, we are not trying to, do not buy us any gift cards. Okay. And again, this is not just for elder. Most people think only elders get scammed. Young people get scammed. If you get a phone call saying your Social Security number is suspended and you're in college and you have student loans, that's going to scare you. You're going to go to the nearest ATM machine and you're going to give this person your money, right? You're going to figure it out. So just know that this isn't just for older people. This is for everybody. Anyone with a cell phone number pretty much can get scammed. So again, we're never going to request your personal information, never going to ask for advance fees for services in the form of wire transfer, gift cards. You're going to build a habit of verifying the identity of anyone who asks you for personal information over the phone and say you will respond through the entity's customer service channels. Thank you, Google, right? We could Google most of these companies that call you and claim that they're, and sometimes you'll even get other people's feedbacks and comments saying, yeah, this number is a scam number. You know, if you needed that verification or confirmation, sometimes Google can get you that, right? Other people will be able to post things online to clarify it. So if anyone pressures you to provide information or money over the phone, it's a scam and you should just hang up. Now, you'll notice on the bottom of this where it says https://oig.ssa.gov, definitely you want to report all scams. When you report the scam, it goes by your zip code. Okay, and we do team up with the Office of Inspector General. So if you notice that's an OIG is Office of Inspector General.ssa.gov. So they have been getting people during this pandemic, even also in North Carolina, there's so many financial hubs. If you put in your zip code, you'll notice they will try to track where they're getting most of a increase in calls from or increase of reports from. And they have gotten people from North Carolina, from Texas, from California, from Atlanta, from New Jersey, believe it or not. So there's been a lot of arrests being made due to fraud. So it's not somewhere out in the other side of the world. They have local people. They'll have somebody meet you in front of the Social Security office so that they will help you change your direct deposit, right? They'll get an Uber driver for you, right? So again, you really don't know where it is, where that person can be. So definitely you want to be cautious. And of course, the last bullet talks about securing your information. So store your Social Security card in a secure location. Avoid carrying it with you. Shred documents that list personal information such as your Social Security number and banking information. Avoid opening emails from unknown sources or clicking on suspicious hyperlinks. Equip your computing devices with strong antivirus software and maintain strong passwords. Regularly check your credit reports for suspicious activities. And again, cannot go over this enough. Please use the https://oig.ssa.gov because it does help. It has helped a lot of people. And if you want to do it in Spanish, you could even do //Espanol. And it will do it in Spanish for you too. All right, so the next slide talks about scam awareness and Social Security. Thank you. So again, remind you, we do contact citizens. If you call us for an appointment and we're doing everything on the phone, we're going to have to call you back, right? If you call us because you have a question and we said we were going to give you a call back, we're going to call you back. So generally, we do contact people who have ongoing business with us or someone who's contacted us, right? Because of customer service. But Social Security employees are never going to threaten you for information. We will not say that you face potential arrest or any other legal action. We're not the FBI, we're not the police, we're not immigration, we're not those people. So we're not here to threaten you about any of this stuff. In those cases that the call is fraudulent and you should just hang up, do not give out your information, okay? So the next slide is elder abuse. And the reason we want to highlight elder abuse is because for more than 80 years, and we're talking now 86 years, so going on 87 this year, so going on close to 90 years. So more than 80 years, Social Security has helped secure today and tomorrow with financial benefits, information, and tools, and provide a safety net throughout life's journey. Social Security was built initially, we didn't have disability and all these other programs 86 years ago. So when FDR first passed Social Security, it was so that people can retire with dignity, right? It was after the Great Depression, it was during the New Deal, so people can retire with dignity. So it was more of a retirement program, right? It's opened up for other benefits now, but it was more for retirement. So unfortunately, millions of seniors suffer from elder abuse. Several forms of mistreatment, including physical abuse, neglect, or financial exploitation each year. And older Americans lose more than $2.6 billion annually because of these crimes, according to the Administration for Community Living. Now, raising awareness of elder abuse is very important to Social Security and the Office of Inspector General because many of Social Security's customers are seniors, and some of them depend on a representative payee or someone that they trust to receive and manage their Social Security benefits. And it's not just for seniors. Like I said, we get so many people that are disabled, they cannot handle their own money, and we see misuse of funds, reasons to why they're changing their representative payee as well, right? But it is important to learn the signs and increase awareness of these threats to seniors and the disabled, to the most vulnerable, and to help people identify and prevent cases of elder abuse. Anyone can be a victim. However, there are things that you can do to protect yourself and others from abuse and neglect. So the next few slides we're going to go over are the red flags, okay? So you want to learn to spot red flags. So there are a number of red flags that could suggest the presence of elder abuse. Examples can include isolation, especially by a caregiver. So I love these programs, and I love the senior programs, senior services, and, YMCA groups that do things for seniors, and, communities, within their church, your faith-based groups and all of that, because isolation can cause a lot of issues, right? You're going to believe the person that's there with you most of the time because you don't know any better. But if you go out there, you talk to 10 different people, you interact with people, you kind of get an idea of what's going on and what's right and what's wrong, right? A lot of times that can confuse a lot of people. Isolation. So especially by a caregiver is not a good sign. Unpaid bills or utilities that have been turned off. If you have someone that's handling your money, the main thing that they should be looking for is making sure that your food, shelter, clothing, and everything with shelter is being taken care of for you. So if you have unpaid bills and utilities are being turned off, that's definitely a red flag, right? Unusual or quick changes in a will or other financial documents, missing medications, bruises or welts, especially on the face. Okay. And even if you're not certain that abuse is taking place, you can still report any suspicious abuse so a professional can investigate it by contacting Adult Protective Services in your state. All right. Now, you want to stay connected. Like I said, isolation's a big deal. You want to prevent isolation. So elders without strong social networks face a greater risk of abuse, neglect, or exploitation. It is up to all of us to ensure that our communities are supporting and engaging older adults. One simple way to do this is by just staying in touch with the older adults in your community, right? You can knock on your neighbor's door just to say hi, or start an intergenerational book club or movie night. You can also support community efforts to empower elders and fight isolation. Act by volunteering to deliver meals, right? We have Meals on Wheels and other different programs that you could be a part of. We also have blogs and stuff on our website that you could check out under ssa.gov, 5 ways to fight elder abuse, neglect, and financial exploitation. So we do extensive resources on this because, again, that's mostly our clientele, disabled and elderly who receive benefits. Now, avoid sharing personal information. Never provide personal information, your social security number, your credit card, over the phone unless you placed the call and know whom you are speaking to. Okay, unless you place the call. So if somebody calls you and starts asking you questions, unless you already know that you've contacted them, just know that that could be a scam. Social Security encourages you to sign up for direct deposit. When you file your claim, the first thing we ask is, do you have a bank account? Not because we're trying to take anything in, we're trying to put things in for you, okay? But we want to make sure your checks don't get lost. If you remember, we used to send you those green and white statements in the mail every year, your Social Security statement around your birthday. We stopped mailing that out because of identity theft. People steal people's mail, people steal people's checks, right? So that's why we definitely want to make sure that identity theft and that you do try to go ahead and have everything go direct deposit. You want to sign up for direct deposit of your income so that things like pension, Social Security checks go right into a secured account. All right, so the next slide is additional information. You want to definitely consult with someone you trust. You don't want to be pressured or intimidated into an immediate decision. So I had a lady I was doing a webinar for, and she shared that she got a phone call out of the blue telling her that if she doesn't pay this person money, then she's going to be arrested because she's now linked to a terrorist group. Okay, that is scary. And they told her, do not talk to anybody in your family. Just go ahead and do what you need to do and give the money to us, because if you don't go to the bank and give us the money, because if you don't wire the money to us, your family's going to be worried about you because now you're linked to this terrorist group and they might come get you. And of course, don't consult with your family. And if after you do what you need to do, then tell them, because they'll be very proud of you. Right? That's scary. Okay. And this little lady did get scared, and they did send an Uber driver to her home. She got into the Uber driver. She was going on her way to the bank. She went to the bank and she realized that she didn't really have any money in her account. She just got frightened and she was just willing to pay this person whatever, kind of like the college students when they get that phone call over loans. I've gotten a bunch of complaints about that too. So just know you want to consult with someone you trust. Talk to your kids, or if you're young, talk to your parents. You know what I mean? Consult with somebody, but don't be pressured or intimidated into an immediate decision. Don't sign any documents that you don't completely understand without first consulting an attorney or a family member that you trust. Shred documents. You want to tear up and shred documents with personal information before disposing of them in the trash. And as I said earlier, if you're offered a prize or loan, an investment that sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And I know nobody likes to read that fine print, but sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to. If you don't want to, you can get someone else to. And now the next slide talks about if you suspect fraud. And if you're able to screenshot some of these slides or take pictures of some of these slides, that would be good, because there are going to be a bunch of resources that's going to be helpful. So if you want to get on the National Do Not Call list, registry to reduce telemarketing calls, you could visit www.donotcall.gov, or you can call 1-888-382-1222. Now, another thing, your phone. Now, if you have a smartphone, which most of us do because we're on Zoom and stuff. So if you have a smartphone, there are certain tricks that you could put on your settings and stuff so that you don't get those unknown calls. A lot of them do show scam likely and things like that. But if you suspect fraud or financial exploitation, I'm going to remind you again, please contact the Office of Inspector General, OIG, at https://oig.ssa.gov. And you could do /report, or you could do /Spanish. So you could definitely go ahead and report this in Spanish or English. And it's easier if you use this. However, if you can't do it on the computer, I'm going to get you phone numbers for it too. So if you suspect elder abuse, call the Elder Care Locator at 1-800-677-1116. So you can put in your zip code. You could give them your zip code and they'll let you know how you can get to the elder care resource in your area. Or you can visit eldercare.acl, which is eldercarelocator.gov, and you can connect with a local reporting entities. For more information on the National Center for Elder Abuse, www.ncea, National Center of Elder Abuse.acl.gov. Now, in addition to these tips, there are a variety of local resources in your community that help address elder abuse. Again, Adult Protective Service agencies investigate and can respond to suspected abuse. Long-term care ombudsman, I cannot I cannot read today. Ombudsman programs, advocate for residents of care facilities, area agency on aging. Like we have senior services and aging and disability resource centers can offer meals, health and wellness programs. Local YMCA have different programs and caregiver support programs. And of course, Older Americans Act legal service providers can also offer legal help. Again, elder care locator line, if somebody needs it again, it's 1-800-677-1116, or you can go to their website and connect. They can connect you to all of these programs as well. Now, the last few slides we're going to go over is identity theft, okay? So the next slide is what I was telling you about earlier when we started. There were over 4.7 million reports of fraud, and these are just people that reported it. Million reports of fraud, identity theft, and other reports to the Federal Trade Commission in 2020. Again, we definitely want people to report this, okay? And you need to report it to the Federal Trade Commission because they're the ones who actually handle fraud reports. And I'm going to also go over all the different resources that they have for free. Now, 1 in 5 people lost money in imposter scams in 2020, totaling $1,190 million. Again, 1 out of 5. Last year, when I did this PowerPoint, this was 1 out of 10. So it's growing, but not in a good way, right? But the good thing is people are reporting it. And we were able to get a few people in 2020 and the beginning of 2021, and it's still ongoing. Examples. So we're going to go to the next slide, which talks about examples and the impact of identity theft. Opening credit cards. If you have some sort of identity theft, guess what? You're going to start seeing denials of credit and loans because you're not paying your bill. You didn't even know that you had these cards. Opening utility accounts, denial of public benefits. Applying for a tax refund, you won't get your refund, right? Getting a loan, you won't get approved for your loan. Applying for employment, you might not be able to get employment. Sometimes they check with your with resources and your credit. Sometimes some employers check your credit. Getting medical care, if you don't pay your medical bills, you might get denial of medical care. It happens. Illegal use of your social security number can be very, very stressful. You're going to have harassment by debt collectors. You might get lawsuits. You didn't even know that, we're out there for you. Just stress, anxiety, and even embarrassment, and also time and expenses spent on recovery steps. So it's not good. Identity thieves or scammers can use your information to get credit, steal your tax refund, or even get medical care. And the crime can also, as you see, can take an emotional toll on all victims. So the next slide is your social security number. Now, most people, the first thing they think of when they, when they realize that they've been a victim of identity theft is they'll call the Social Security office. And that's the what Social Security does is that when you're working, to get your Social Security benefits, there's a percentage, the Social Security tax is taken out of your Social Security check. Every paycheck that you work. And that's why your employers want your Social Security number. And again, if you need your Social Security card replaced, because things are reopening again, and I've noticed job fairs and things like that, then you definitely can get your Social Security card online as well. And it's safe and secure. Our website is definitely safe and secure. It has not been hacked, knock on wood. So that is something that you can do. But that's what we do. We pretty much try to calculate your checks because you're working, you're paying into Social Security, you see your statement. We just, track your earnings. And we definitely protect your Social Security number, and we keep your records confidential, okay? Now, you should be careful about sharing your number even when you're asked for it. You want to keep your card and other documents that show your Social Security number in a safe place. Now, we don't want you to routinely carry your card or other documents that display your number. Your Medicare card, back in the day, in a couple of years ago, your Medicare card was your Social Security number, right? It was your 2019, 2018. You walked around with your insurance card, that was your Medicare card, and it had your Social Security number or the person you were receiving benefits off of, their Social Security number on that card. Now, in 2019, we've sent over I don't know what the number is, but it is close to 60 million beneficiaries, new Medicare cards with new alphanumeric numbers. So it used to be like the DMV, right? Your customer care number, your customer card number was your social security number. Now they've changed it. Same thing. Your Medicare card is a new alphanumeric number, so you're not walking around with your social security number. Okay, so we definitely were trying few years ago to try to combat identity theft. Now, and that's what happened during COVID too. A lot of people would get phone calls stating that we're going to send you a free COVID test kit if you provide us your Medicare card, your Medicare number. Well, how is it free if you have to provide them your Medicare number, right? It's not free. So just know that we are trying to track everything and be proactive about it. Now, what are you going to do right away if you've been a victim of identity theft? You want to call the companies where you know fraud occurred. You want to place a fraud alert to get all your credit reports, and you want to report identity theft to the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, which is identitytheft.gov. Now, you may choose to file a report with your local police department, which you recommend. We recommend that because you want a paper trail, right? You want to make sure everything is correct. Now, the next slide is why the resources, I was saying what the resources are for identitytheft.gov. Okay, so identitytheft.gov is the federal government's one-stop resource for identity theft victims. And a lot of local police use this to help you with your police report. This site provides streamlined checklists and sample letters to guide you through the recovery process. You want to explain what happened. They're going to ask questions about your situation. You want to tell them as much as you can. You want to get a recovery plan. They're going to use that information to create a personal recovery plan. And then you want to put your plan into action. If you create an account, they're going to walk you through each recovery step, update your plan as needed, track your progress, and pre-fill forms and letters for you, which is great. So the next slide talks about the free help from identitytheft.gov. It's a personal recovery plan that walks you through each step, an identity theft affidavit that you can review and update at any time, customized pre-filled letters to send credit bureaus, businesses, and debt collectors, update your plan and track your progress, and advice about what to do if you're affected by specific data breaches. So the free features of identitytheft.gov provide a new level of personalization and assistance for victims. You want to get a personal recovery plan. You're going to be asked to describe your situation and answer a series of questions to collect more detailed information to create your Federal Trade Commission identity theft report and recovery plan. You're going to create an identity theft affidavit using the information you provide about the incident, and an identity theft complaint and affidavit will be created for your account. And this is all free. And you want to get customized pre-filled letters, you will be able to create and use pre-filled letters that will have your report and affidavit, proof of identity, and other supporting documents to send to any affected credit bureaus, businesses, and debt collectors. So hopefully this will, relieve some of the stress that you're going through, right? So the next slide is, how do we help? How does Social Security help? Because the first thing people think about is to report it to Social Security, and we're limited on what we can do. Well, what we can do is what I'm doing today, right? Outreach and education. You will get a follow-up email if you've registered with the library today with resources, with a copy of this PowerPoint. So you'll definitely get all that. We can replace or correct a Social Security number if there's a discrepancy. So if your date of birth is wrong, if your name is spelled incorrectly, something like that, we can do that. We can issue a new or second Social Security number, but it's very rare, which I'm going to go over. We can verify your Social Security records. What if you think that somebody is using your Social Security number, right? We can verify your earnings, because that's what we do, right? So we can verify, your earnings to see what your amounts are. And if you feel like, your amounts are incorrect, you could bring your W-2, your tax returns. Either you can mail it in, drop it off in our Dropbox. In certain instances, you can fax it in, depending on what it is. And we will be able to update that information for you or correct it. We can correct your earnings record, and of course, hotline referrals. So we can verify things, we can correct things. In reference to the new Social Security number, And of course, we can refer visitors to credit bureaus, law enforcement agencies to begin the reclamation process. But with the second Social Security number, there are specific conditions under which Social Security may, and it may or may not, issue a second Social Security number to the same person, but all requirements must be met. The individual must have been disadvantaged by misuse of Social Security number. The fact that you lost your Social Security card does not establish misuse, okay? It just means that you lost it. But it has to be where you're noticing that you have all these debt, your credit is going bad, something you're getting weird letters in the mail that you were not familiar with, you didn't do business with them, things like that. The individual has done everything that they can do to fix the problem. Proof to the effect that must be provided to Social Security, like police reports, credit bureau letters, court orders, things like that. Issuance of a new Social Security means that the applicant may have to go and change all or most of their records for proper matching, like government, employment, banks, creditors, schools, medical stuff. And a new Social Security number is no guarantee that the thief is going to stop misusing your old one. And if they're a family or friend that you trust, but they're not trustworthy, they might even have quick and easy access to your new Social Security number, right? So SSA decides on each application to your local office. Once you provide information to why you need a second Social Security number, will then decide on each application based on the merits and extraordinary circumstances of each case, right? So they'll have to go through that. Now, the next slide is what can we not do? So we're not credit bureaus, so we cannot correct your, your credit record. We can correct your Social Security earnings record, but we cannot correct your credit record. We cannot file identity theft reports on behalf of you. We're not advocates. We're not lawyers, and of course, we cannot act as an advocate. Our role is to correct earnings records, assign Social Security numbers, provide verifications of Social Security information, and make referrals. Okay, so that's pretty much what our realm is. Now, the next slide, contact information. Okay, so again, if you could screenshot this, and you will get access to this. The library, as Ms. Varson mentioned, they are going to put this on their YouTube page, and you will get a follow-up email from her as well. So Equifax, Experian, TransUnion are the three major credit bureaus that you need to contact. It is advisable that you obtain credit records from each of these sources to determine the extent of the problem. They work independently. So fixing your credit with one credit bureau does not expunge bad data from the other credit bureau's database, okay? So, and these are the toll-free numbers, our general information numbers. They're also numbers to report fraud as well. So they have report fraud, you have the email, you have their website, their fraud number, how to order a credit report, and their address as well. So definitely good information to have. And again, these three do work independently, so you do need to contact each one. Now, the next slide is the phone number to the Federal Trade Commission, as I mentioned. So 1-877-438-4338 is their direct number. Tax issues. Let's say you're facing you're not getting your refund because there's some weird situation going on, maybe identity theft. There's the tax issue, irs.gov/identity-theft-central, or you can call 1-800-908-4490. The website, ftc.gov identity theft or ID theft for prevention tips and resources. Maybe you're going through the DMV and you notice that there's some fraud going on with your driver's license. There's a phone number for that too. I guess it happens. So it's 1-866-658-5758. And again, you can get your credit reports. There's a bunch of ways you can get credit reports. A lot of times your banks will do it for you. There's different apps that'll do it for you. Some credit cards will do it for you. Their companies will. There's Credit Karma. And of course, there's annual credit report and free credit reports. So these are the key sources that identity theft victims must contact. The toll-free numbers are listed. The direct lines are there for fraud units who specialize in identity theft calls. And again, definitely want to do a screenshot to this. If I was there, I'd be handing this to you. But you definitely want to do a screenshot because this is important. But again, you will have access to all of this. So now we can stop for questions. This is a fairly short PowerPoint, and you're more than welcome to share your stories if you've gone through identity theft, because we could always learn what's going on, what new schemes and scams are happening. So this is always a good way to interact as well. So thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Liz. That was, I'm writing notes, this whole time. So this is great for me too. So let's see if we have any questions. I had one. This kind of fraud, I guess, has changed because of COVID. So they were actually sending drivers to pick up people as part of the whole scam.
No. This was happening and believe it or not, scammers they're doing it in every language. So, you hear this Indian accent. So people always assume it's this person from India, which is true. That might be happening too. But they're doing it in the language of Vietnamese. They're doing it in the language of India and other different languages as well, Spanish and all that. So this was pre-COVID, actually. Somebody got a phone call stating that they needed to deposit all this money and give it to them, wire this money over, and they were going to meet them. They actually got an Uber driver to this person's home to sneak them out of the house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And this older lady was afraid. She wanted to ask her son, and they said, no, your son will be very proud of you if you just, do what you do right now. They're going to think you're a hero for doing that. You'll save them any save them any worries. And they sent them an Uber driver to go to the bank and help her wire money. But when she got to the bank, she realized she didn't have that type of money. So she just went back, told the person to take her back. But what a lot of people have done in the past is they met them at the Social Security office and they said, hey, well, I'll help you change your direct deposit so you could have it go here because you could save yourself a lot of grief and things like that. So you just never know who is, your friend. It could be a community member. You don't know. It could be anybody.
It could be anybody. That's a little scary. So let's see. Everybody's very quiet tonight. So it's quiet. You think you've scared us all straight. So it's a good thing. So the rise in cases, the going from 1 to 10 to 1 to 5, that's a really dramatic rise. Is there a reason for that? Like, is there something you all have pinpointed that is it COVID? Is it the fact that we're all kind of stuck?
I feel like, it could be that we're all stuck at home and we're taking calls now that we originally wouldn't take. And so it's possible that people and again, they're speaking different languages and, so they're identifying who they could talk to, who they can trust and stuff as well. But yeah, I mean, just COVID in general has scared people, right? Like free test kits. And now everybody's able to get it. But 2020, when this all started, everybody wanted to get their hands on a test kit, right? And if it's free, even better, because you had to pay for it.
Right.
So Medicare fraud happened. We also had the census in 2020. So a lot of people were being told, we need your social security number so we could fill out your census properly. And, you don't need your social security number for the census.
Right.
So just a lot of misinformation, and scammers follow headlines. And this was a scary time, like the vaccine, pay upfront fee, and you'll get a great investment out of it, things like that. So
we have one patron who's just shared, she was pulled into a scam by getting an email that looked like it was from PayPal saying a suspicious charge of several $100s was made on my account. They gave a number to call for help to check and fix the charge if it was invalid. She made the call and got as far as taking a picture of my driver's license for them to prove my identity. But when they wanted me to take a picture of my debit card, I was sure they were a scam and ended the call.
Exactly. That's good. Very good.
What are the side effects of like getting halfway through? Like, is that, it's definitely excellent that she ended the call, but are there ramifications for like starting these things? Like they seem trustworthy and you start sharing information, even if it's not like your social security number.
Yeah, you just don't know. That's
Yeah.
the thing. You don't know how far back. Like that would have been a perfect opportunity if you had the DMV fraud line
Mhm.
call, to call them and say, "Hey, stop!
Yeah.
Whatever's
Yeah.
happening, this just happened to me." You hear about restaurants, scammers in restaurant when you give out your debit card, you don't know. You see all these extra charges as well.
Mhm.
So it's just you
Right.
just don't, it could be anywhere. Also, I was thinking about another case where somebody told me that they got a phone call. They actually did call a place to get their computer fixed,
Mhm.
and this person called them back. Now, this was maybe a coincidence, don't really know. And they said, "Yes, I need to get into your computer. I need to remotely get into your computer. But if you could pull up your bank information because there's been a scam issue with
Oh,
your bank." So pretty much having everything ready for them, right? And
yeah.
then they did do it, and they called me in a panic. Like, I knew that they weren't real, but I did that because I had computer issues.
Yeah.
And so yeah, things you just don't know what people are willing to do. You got to be careful. If you get
Yeah.
a phone call from someone, even if you've called them back, tell them you will Google them or
Mhm.
you will call them,
Yeah.
even if they call you back. So yeah.
Do you have any suggestions for us as librarians and library staff on how to approach patrons who we feel maybe, especially older patrons, about these issues, or who we feel maybe being in the process of being scammed?
Oh, yeah,
You know.
definitely. Yeah. Like I said, you want to know more about the situation. If you see
Mhm.
that they're purchasing, like at retail stores, you could tell if they're purchasing gift cards and they
Mhm.
just slip and they say, "Hey, the government called me,"
Yeah.
and I'm buying these gift cards in a panic, or so. And I do have publications and stuff like identity theft and social
Mhm.
security. And if you want, I could send that over. And there's so many things that we have online as well. But
Yeah.
definitely, I could send pamphlets over and things over, publications over
Yeah.
free. They could just take it as a
Yeah.
brochure.
I think
Um,
we had those before COVID. I think we put,
yeah,
we put everything away, but
yeah.
yeah, I mean, that is something that could
Mhm,
happen because we do have public access computers. A lot of libraries do, and people come in
mhm.
to use the resources, and we could be asked these questions. So these are great resources for us to be able to say, maybe step
Yeah,
back, or if they come to us, what do I do now? This has
yeah.
happened to me.
Mhm.
Um, you know, to definitely report it. And then that identitytheft.gov, like the whole process, having that whole process sort of streamlined is fantastic to make it
Right.
less, because I think that is scary, the idea of how do you fix this?
Yeah, you
Um,
already have all this anxiety and you don't know what to do, and you need to now come up with all these documents,
mhm.
and you're already worried and panicked and out of all the you're being asked to pay all this money or whatever's going on. So that at least gives you some relief. There's a free resource out there.
Yeah.
And even if you do a police report, I know a lot of local police, they do help them fill that out
Yeah.
at the police station, or they try to
Yeah.
help them with that. And with the first thing I always tell our Social Security recipients, older recipients, is that if they have been, if they're afraid of identity theft, the first thing you want to do is try to create your account, because you could see your direct deposit information, your address, your phone number, right? You
Hmm.
can see all of that if you create your account, so nothing has changed. Because a lot of people depend on Social Security, right? For a lot of people, this is their only income.
Right. Yeah.
So create your My Social Security account, because you could update and even view and confirm your address, your phone number, your direct deposit. That's very important. The other thing is, just go to the entity's website, like I said, right?
Hmm.
And if you have, other like Medicare.gov, right? If you have Medicare, you want to make sure all your information is correct there. There's no weird claims, right? No weird, no weird bills
Right.
that are coming up. So if your agent or whoever you work with has your credit card, I check my credit report every morning. I wake up, that's part of my routine. Yeah.
Hmm.
Is there anything weird? I went yesterday somewhere. Okay. Any other weird charges I have, just get in the habit of
Hmm.
being on it. And it's hard because, not everybody is able to do that. Not
Hmm.
everybody's able to. My dad loves his flip phone. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
He won't go into Zoom, you know? So,
Mhm.
I mean, everything's different, but
Yeah.
figure out the 1-800 numbers that they have, call them, because this is your money. You want to be proactive, when
Yeah.
it comes to your stuff and your
It's your
safety.
identity.
Yeah.
We have a patron who shared that someone used their social security number to file a fraudulent tax return, and identitytheft.gov was helpful and ended up getting an IRS and state tax pin and put credit freeze on the report. And someone also tried to open a PayPal credit card in their name, but it was caught by the freeze. So
Good.
they've had no
Good.
issues since. So that's, nice testimonial there
That's really good.
for
Yeah.
something that was useful. So that's great. So these are all wonderful tools that we will share. And like Liz said, I will email this to everybody who signed up. So you'll have access to this, and it will be on our YouTube channel for a while so that you can access it again or share it with others who you think would benefit from the information. So
one thing I want to share is kind of funny. We always tell people you want to create your social security account because you don't know if someone has created one for you.
Oh.
You know what I mean? It's so solid that we've had so many people that have legitimately filed for social security, tried to file for it online, but somebody else has already filed. Because again, you might not want to be you, but somebody else might want to be you looking at your social security statement. Your neighbor might be like, oh, I could get this much if I filed for disability, maybe, And so they possibly filed an account or filed a claim. Next thing you know, this person is filing for retirement. We're telling the real person, no, you're the fraudster.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
and then we have to go ahead and make sure we, reclaim all the money. We do press charges, federal charges on people that do that, obviously. And then we do give them the proper amount and everything. So you definitely want to create an account because you don't know if someone else has done one for you,
So it's never too early to create that account. So even like those teenagers who've just gotten their first job could go in and get it. Okay.
18. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because that is, I've got somebody.
Yeah, you got to be on it. You got to be on it. And again, if you're 18 and you lose your social security card, it's an easy way to get a replacement, which is great because you're not calling us or mailing things in either, you know. So, you don't have documents out there in the mail or in our Dropbox that don't need to be out there. So, yeah.
Okay. We might have one other question, but let's see if it comes through.
And you could ask me anything social security. It doesn't have to be fraud.
It doesn't have to be fraud or elder abuse or scams. Yeah. So
now's your time. You have a live one. So, yeah.
That's true. I don't. No. Okay. Well, I don't see anything else coming through. So, okay. Yeah. So I think those are all our questions for the night. So thank you, Liz. This was so helpful and useful and something for us to all to remember as we start opening back up again and more of our things are pushed online and into phones and important to protect our information and protect our devices and stay connected to our communities. I think that's a really important point. And of course, libraries are really all about that. So, if you have questions, librarians are great resources. So if we don't know the answer, we can go ask somebody.
Yes,
we'll
you're on my
Liz.
mailing list, so I know you get all of the how-tos and all that good stuff.
Yeah,
so
we do.
Absolutely. And be careful because we are opening back up. And I will tell you that there are, the world is opening back up. And there are a few instances that we noticed, just to be giving you a heads up, that we noticed in the last week are people going door to door and they're saying, we want to talk to you about Social Security benefits. They're not saying they're from Social Security, but Social Security, they're elderly people, and they want to go door to door and they want to kind of, I guess they're, advising them or whatever they're doing. A couple of people did report it to their local Social Security office as well. And they didn't listen to them, but who knows how many people did, right?
Yeah.
So be careful because Social Security representatives, we do not go, we don't have time. We're just trying to get our phones and everything intact. We are not going door to door trying to give people Social Security advice. So just know that if you face something like that, because we are opening back up in the world, that, you could ignore those people and definitely report that too. do. Report that stuff
Okay.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that's it. So I want to thank everybody for joining us this evening.